Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, Bebop Session 9 and Session 10, Jamming with Edward, and Ganymede Elegy. A US debut September 30th, 2001. We are back on normal release orders for a little while, which is nice.
Yes. So after weeks of talking about it, we finally get Radical Edward as part of the Bebop crew.
Edward is finally here. It's amazing how long it takes us to get to him.
I love
Yeah.
Edward. I love everything with MPU. It's it's so it's so nice, and Edward is such a different character compared to Jet and Faye and Spike that it is a little bit of fresh air into what has been a very heavy vibe, without actually destroying that vibe, which is a really interesting way to balance things.
Yeah, and I mean there's Edward almost feels like a completely different, like they should be from a completely different anime. Like almost like a Fooly Cooly kind of vibe, where it's just like this string bean person that is probably an invertebrate, and you know the smile, even just the smile is just like that kind of like singular tooth designed to catch krill. Yeah, it's Edward brings a different energy, but a welcome energy to Cowboy Bebop.
I think it works quite well because we already established in previous episodes that the universe is vast and weird. So it doesn't feel that like Edward is weird as a member of the Bebop crew, but they're not that weird compared to some of the other people we've met. Like we've already met the eternally living harmonica player and the weird people making ape viruses. So yeah, Ed isn't that big of a diversion, but they are a great way of shaking up Bebop's dynamic.
I mean, they do mention that all the weirdest and worst things come from Earth, which
Which I
is I love that. I love that as like a little piece of world building where like Earth is now just this backwater weird place that nobody wants to go to anymore.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Earth still exists. It's just like completely surrounded by space junk, a la Gravity or Wally or our current existence. And yeah, it's interesting that now is the time, what, 9 episodes in, where it's like, here's Earth.
It sucks.
Yeah, more lines of Nazca. Okay.
no one likes it.
Yeah.
Make these weird chocolate chickens, which I swear are a real product.
I've definitely seen chocolate chickens, so yeah, I'm not sure if it's those ones. They look a bit like peeps,
They do look like peeps, so they too, on a molecular level, are nothing resembling food.
but they do make good gods if you need something to worship.
Yeah.
We should note that the development of Edward is pretty funny from a background perspective because they're based on Yoko Kanno, the musician. And what's even funnier is Kanno didn't know this until surprisingly recently. Yeah, at Anime Expo in New York 2002, Watanabe explained it by saying, before Cowboy Bebop, I met this composer, and the composer was female and very eclectic. And during production, she would kind of just roll around on the floor and do very strange things. And on occasion, she would make strange noises. I thought it'd be interesting if I could put her in as a character in my next series. And then a later interview with Forbes, Kanno was, as for me being the basis for Ed, I didn't know that during the series. I only found out much later when Watanabe explained that in the interview.
That's fun.
I just love that all these years she's like,
That makes sense.
Also, Radical Ed gets the denouement in the live action Cowboy Bebop in what is probably the most unintentionally hilarious cliffhanger ending of all time.
oh, don't. We wrote some of it. I will never understand why they thought that we should. Remember, this is episode 9.
Yes.
The live action was longer than this, and they hadn't got to episode 9 yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just how it ends with like Ed just Spike Spiegel like right there. And it's just like, oh, if you had no idea what Cowboy Bebop was, or maybe even if you do, and that was how the entire live action show ends, you'd just be like, what the hell was that?
I did see someone on social media who thought it was a Sopranos ending, who thought that was like an assassin had finally caught up to Spike, and that was what that was.
Amazing. I love that. That is, I wish that was what that was. Like that would be way better.
It was one of those moments. Like, actually, no, that makes perfect sense. Like, if you only know the live action, that is a totally logical assertion to make from what you've been told.
The every time like there's part of me like that loves an unresolved uh crossover, like the Pennyworth series ends with like London getting like nuked
That's true.
and it just ends and you're just like, oh, how are they gonna solve how is Batman's butler gonna emerge from this? We'll never know. We just there's no more London in this universe.
Yeah,
Like,
we just know that he shows up at Wayne Manor one day.
yeah. But enough about failed
Slightly glowing.
Enough of failed live action series. Let's talk about successful anime.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, this episode's a lot of fun. We get a lot of really fun world building here. I really just love. There's a few little details in this that really amuse me. Like, one of them is the news show with this little ticker saying that it's being broadcast in 12 languages. Again, such a small detail that does so much to make the Bebop world feel alive. Oh yeah, of course, it's a big universe. There's not going to be one language. That'd be silly.
I do like the conspiracy theorist guy in the beginning of the episode with Ed, who is doing this weird Vincent Price thing going on, and it's the Ancient Aliens guy,
Yeah.
pre-Ancient Aliens guy,
Well,
being
it's also a riff on a specific dude.
which
Peter Lorre, isn't it? Is
Huh?
it Peter Lorre?
No.
Is he Peter?
Oh, the voice is Peter Lorre, but the guy's name is Yuri Kellerman, which is a spoonerism of Yuri Geller, who was a Israeli British magician, psychic, lunatic. Basically, his whole thing was he was a magician who kind of said he had psychic powers, would never prove them. He's one of the guys James Randi challenged to go on then, lad, and he never did. His thing was bending spoons with the power of his mind, and liberal use of his hands.
Wait.
So you may be familiar with him because you're about to say what I think you're about to say.
No, go for it. Go for it.
He's why we didn't have Kadabra cards until 2020. Because he sued the Pokemon Company because he believed Kadabra was ripping on his gimmicks. It had the spoon, and also the Japanese name of Kadabra sounds very similar to Yuri Geller. He was also very unhappy because the markings on Kadabra's head, he said they look like the Waffen SS symbol, the two S's. And then basically, they've made me into a satanic caricature. He basically kept his actual quote was, Nintendo turned me into an evil occult Pokemon character. Nintendo stole my identity by using my name and my signature image. And he tied them up in all sorts of stuff until 2020 when he apologized. It's part of kind of an apology tour because his fame had run out, basically. And yeah, that's why we didn't get Kadabra cards, and Kadabra wasn't in the anime for years and all sorts of nonsense.
Wow.
All this for a man whose party trick is bending spoons. Basically, his entire career was going on British chat shows when Rod Hull wasn't available and just being generally less interesting. So,
when that's all you
I'm just gonna say they'll let anybody onto British talk shows, won't they?
No, not anyone. I'm not allowed. But we can change this.
We can change. You have the power to change this.
Yeah. Hit them with your letters. Let them know.
I'll finally be banned from the BBC. I've been trying for years. Anyway, it's such a very specific. I know Bebop's like referenced real word things before, but that was specifically malicious in the point that I get the feeling the writer may have disliked him as much as I do. Because yes, he talks like Peter Lorre.
Talks like Peter Lorre. He's got that like master thing going on.
He immediately gets shouted down by the reporter as well. The reporter's like, that's nonsense. Like, even in universe, he gets called out for it.
And he's like, but that's what the government wants you to think.
Which I like that. I like the callback to that kind of at the end, because we get another missed bounty, which is the funniest of them, because, they do turn in the AI and they get told, well, bounties are only put on living subjects. AI aren't living subjects. No money for you. Which, again, it's such a lovely moment of just like, bounty hunting is the lowest of the low, and you're going to get screwed.
I I really Spike had one line in this that I just genuinely loved when Jet is talking about like not understanding what was going on with the satellite and him just being like, it makes sense. It was lonely and it drew some friends. Like I love that little moment so much, and I cannot articulate why.
I love it because it's a rare example of Spike's mask slipping. Because Spike acts like he doesn't know and doesn't care, but in that moment you realize that he has a lot more emotional intelligence than you think. He isn't. He plays dumb, like with Faye in the singing where he lashed out at her. That isn't because Spike doesn't understand how those social dynamics work. He knows, he just doesn't want to deal with them because he's been hurt. I think it also plays off nicely for the last episode. Like he's still a bit vulnerable after dealing with that situation, and just that brief moment he forgets to put up his defenses and immediately snaps shut like a trap again.
Three things I
Yeah, the three things. We have all three. But can we talk about how good and original the space sequence is? The climactic kind of space sequences. It's moments.
so good.
It's that scene that reminded me. It's like, oh, that's right. Sunrise has been doing Gundam since the beginning, like, and continues to do so. If anything, this is like them in their element. They're like, oh, we get to do a big space sequence. Awesome.
The thing that I love about Sunrise is a part of those space sequences is how they animate hands on the control panels. Like when they're pushing buttons, when they're turning things, when they're moving all these little pieces. It feels like Star Trek in a lot of ways, where all of that effort goes into making it feel like something you're actually interacting with, as opposed to some other sci-fi series in anime, which I'm not going to name names, but they always hide the hands behind consoles, so you can never see what they're doing.
It's the difference between Super Robot and Real Robot. Same with the original Gundam, in that they do a really good job of making every ship feel like it is a 5,000 pound lump of metal that you're burning 20 gallons of fuel a second to make it go forward, and that any wrong move will send you crashing into something. The same. I mean, we get that whole idea with the last sequence where you can't use your computers, so Spike has to do this little creep firing off his little jets. It's like space flight is complicated in this world.
Yeah. Especially at that skill level and all. Yeah, it's just such a great, highly detailed sequence. It made me, after this, I was like, maybe my next anime pick should be like G Gundam or something. Though that's like 46 episodes, so maybe not.
It would be a fun one to do. We'll have to get there eventually. I want to point out, I really like how it complements the chase in the next episode as well, in Ganymede Elegy, because I can't say Elegy today. Because when Jet is flying sideways, he grinds on the one wall. It's not relevant to the plot at all, but it's again that little idea of like space flight is tricky. This isn't something that ship is designed to do. So what's he going to do? He's going to start grinding onto a wall.
So the thing I wanted to kind of bring up with this particular episode is the title. It's Ganymede Elegy. And Ganymede, obviously, it's the biggest moon for Jupiter. It's the brightest body in Sagittarius, but Ganymede is also a very important character in Greek mythology. Ganymede is a cupbearer and was specifically kidnapped by Zeus to become the cupbearer of the gods because of how beautiful he was. And I think that ties in really well with the story that Jet's ex gives, where she wanted to be free to make her own choices and make her own mistakes. And she is obviously the owner of a bar. And Ganymede being taken in as the cupbearer of Zeus was not exactly intentional, and it was not his choice. So I think it's interesting to get the layers for, it's not just Ganymede, the celestial body. There's also that sensation of the entrapment of Ganymede as this beautiful object that just was there to fill cups. And I think that that's a really interesting thing to relate to.
It's also an interesting, I mean, and it should go without saying, I think this is the only Jet-centric episode we get. Maybe one of two at most.
Yeah. Definitely the one where he's alone, being solo.
Yeah. Which is a nice shift. I mean, obviously, Faye's there, suntanning for most of the episode, and with being disrupted by Ed, and um, Spike is there. Spike also does something which I think speaks a lot to his character, in that when Jet's like, "This is something I have to do," he immediately understands and pulls away. It's an interesting episode, an interesting kind of shift of focus, especially coming off jamming with Edward.
What I
It,
love with that is Spike's first thing is you're not gonna let him go, are you? But
Mm.
how he says it has that hint of whatever answer you give, I'm gonna back off. It feels more like he's like, should I be expecting us to get a bounty this week or not?
yeah, it's like, are you bringing home a paycheck today? Like,
But
I
it's
do like
Cowboy Bebop never.
yeah, I do like the Faye and Ed stuff. As short as it is, the Faye and Ed stuff is very fun. With Ed being like, "What are you doing there?" and Faye explaining it, and Ed immediately just being like, "Yes, this is perfect."
I love
I
Ed
like
shouting futile as well.
Utah.
Yeah. It speaks a lot to their dynamic that frankly we don't get to see a whole heck of a lot of in the show.
Yeah,
No.
they don't get paired off very much, but I do like this. I also love Faye's ludicrous bikini. Like that bikini is ludicrous. It makes no sense. There is not a shot in hell that that thing is staying on the way that it says it is. That's a lie. I know it. I understand it. That's a lie.
It's using gate technology. That's how it works.
Schlorped onto there. It's just never gonna fall off.
It's attached to a decaying star system.
She
Um,
moves the wrong way.
I will say I love Faye's characterization in Ganymede Elegy. Uh, Even though you don't get much of her, there's a few really nice moments. Like I love the second she realizes Jet is a cop, she's immediately like, "Oh, that's why we don't get on," because it's this brilliant moment because it makes sense, but it's also again the idea that Faye is kind of almost trapped by her own image. Like she can't imagine liking Jet for any like she just doesn't like him because he's a cop. Okay, she's brought into herself as the criminal and will never stop being the criminal. Unlike sort of Jet, who was like moves past being a cop a lot more now. Even Spike is trying to move past his past. Faye isn't. She's trapped in it.
Yeah, I mean, there's Spike is forced to reconcile with his past, but certainly, I mean, and I think next week we get reminded of that after the fun little detour. Um, Jet learns to leave his past behind, which he explicitly does at the end of this episode with the watch. Um, Faye and I guess Edward kind of finds their past too, in that they find a different home outside of the Bebop before the end of the series. But for Faye, really? I mean, we get hints at her origins late in the series, but there really is no arc for Faye. She's fully established and, she knows who she is, or at least that she's accepted who she is.
He's
I
the epitome of old habits die hard.
Yeah.
It's same with her gambling. We've seen like she has money. What she do? She gambles it away immediately.
I think that there's an art to the static character. And when I say static, I mean that this is a character that's not going to arc in any conceivable way.
Yeah.
There's an art to that character. That is a character that can be done extremely well and can be done like Faye, where she's still very interesting and her staticness is tragic. Like when she talks to Edward about what like upkeeping skin, right? It's like beautiful skin requires so much upkeep, but in the end it's all futile. Like that's a very interesting statement against the rest of the episode, which does have a lot of themes in time and about the idea of time standing still and how it never stands still. But for Faye in particular, that's very interesting. She knows that it's futile, but she does it anyway.
I also love how we're foreshadowing Faye's big reveal, which plot twist, if you don't know it, is that she's much older than she lets on.
Yeah.
Which again also plays into that old habits die hard. She's much, much older. She's so fixed in her ways, which makes her great with Edward because Edward is younger. Edward is still learning the ropes. So she's gonna pick up different bits from these people as she matures. She is the hopeful future, despite her weirdness.
She's the Ed is the only person on the Bebop outside of Vine that isn't cynical. Which is a nice contrast to literally everybody else on the ship. there's not a cynical bone in Radical Edward's body. There can't
I mean,
be.
we don't really know about Ein. We don't really know what goes through Ein's mind.
Ein's a nihilist. He's just like,
Ein is a hardcore Nietzschean nihilist.
I can see it.
Ein barks, and all Ein is saying is God is dead and we have killed him.
Yeah. Ein is the ultimate like existentialist. Ein just lives for their next meal. That's it. And maybe the occasional belly rub. Um,
Maybe.
which we all love as humans too.
Occasional belly rub and a hot meal. Like
Yeah.
it's the id of it all, you know?
but I also with the facing. One thing I really like is how her first reaction to the Jet stuff is, you still think she's holding a candle for you? That's it's it's very cutting in a very specific way, and it's like that's just a dick move. Like
Oh,
it's such a
yeah.
it shows something about her character in that moment, and I think it's funny that it comes off after the cop thing. Like she got that permission because he's a cop, so I don't like him, and immediately was able to go like I'm going to be mean.
Yeah.
It speaks so much to her character that she can do that in that instant just twist.
It it's all so I like Faye a lot as a female anime character. As a female character in general, I like Faye a lot because so many female characters are caught in the Madonna whore complex,
Mm.
and she very much is not part of that kind of psychosexual craziness that comes when, and I hate to be this guy, but I'm going to be this guy, when most Y chromosome havers, right, women, their Faye's existence is one that is entrenched in a dark femininity. Like I've heard mean women say stuff like that before, but it doesn't come off as a parody of itself. It feels very real. Like I feel like not exactly like Faye, but I know I've met women who have that attitude.
Well, the most biting dialogue in Cowboy Bebop is usually an aside. It's usually just kind of like an off the cuff remark. And I think this is, there's that remark earlier in the series where Spike gets guarded and immediately comments on Jet's like, and it's always Jet that I think that takes it.
Yep,
that
taking those L's, man.
that
Catching them
like
bullets.
oh, what happened to your arm? Just kind of like, they know what buttons to push, that almost like a warning sign, like back off, man. Like, and that's kind of, Faye doing that is kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out in suntan, but let me get one last little dagger in before you go off and follow your unrequited love. Um, which she does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very human meanness. I guess sort of passive dickheadedness
Yeah.
in that. Yeah, I think we've all had that story. We've all said something we kind of regret in the moment, and it's never like, oh, I'm gonna some like villain monologue. It's just sometimes you say something and go, man, that was mean of me, and I shouldn't have said that in the moment.
Yeah.
It, it's always interesting for me just to go back on it a little bit is I went to an all girls Catholic high school. Um so I went to the Vietnam of meanness because everybody's going through puberty and they're all being trained how to be as mean as possible by all the nuns around us. And that is there is a level of cutting energy that comes from a certain level of femininity as you get older. Like there's a way that we are socialized and taught to keep people distant by being able to find the thing that they don't like about themselves as quickly as possible. And I appreciate that about Faye because like Spike saying something like how'd you lose the arm, there's a level of intimacy there. Faye doesn't know about this girl. She's just taking one look at Jet, taking the information of him being a cop and putting it together in her Rolodex of mean things I can say that are probably true. Like you watch that moment happen, and I think it's a brilliant piece of writing.
It makes sense. Faye's sort of archetype is a confidence trickster. And the
Yeah.
first thing you learn as a confidence trickster is the best way to get someone to fall for your confidence scam is to knock them off balance. So how do you do that? You annoy them. It's a very effective trick. It's why phone scammers will shout. So you don't think that'll work, but no, it works surprisingly well.
The if that was your Vietnam, what grade was the Tet Offensive?
Oh, definitely junior year was the Tet offensive. Definitely junior year. Like I'm
All right.
look, Man, you take 150 girls who are all going through puberty and you put them in the same building together and you tell them, hey, only a handful of you are going to get into these Ivy League schools and you better undercut everyone. I went to a school where, like, no joke, when they would do finals and midterm exams, they would put all of our scores with all of our names up in the hallways so
Yeah.
that everyone would know what you got.
That's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
I
thought
went
that
to
was
Not so much anymore,
okay.
but yeah, you would, yeah, that's
That
not an isolated, it's more a private school thing, I think.
that's one of
yeah,
those
I went to
Americanisms I saw on TV a lot, and I was like, oh, is this a thing or is this just a writing thing? Because we go want to
Nah, I
we
went to a hardcore Catholic school, like not about religion, but about achievement. Like
uh,
I went to one of those schools where if you didn't get into a college in your senior year, they would try to transfer you out before you got to
oh
graduation.
yeah.
But I went to a public high school, and the closest we had to that is we had a big bulletin board for graduating seniors, and it would say they framed it so everything was like framed like giant balloons, but the balloons, like they would have balloons with students' names, and each balloon would be a different school. And so you'd see like the local community college balloon, and you would see like the straight to military balloon, and you'd be like, oh, okay, okay, you know.
Yeah, my school was cutthroat.
That's not just in The Sims. Okay, I'm learning about America today, and I'm learning why certain things are as they are. Um,
But yeah, like that reminded me of that.
for a brief moment when we said only some of you, I was expecting the end of the battle royale speech.
Oh,
Only
sure.
some of you will survive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, like I just to tell you about how bad it gets being a girl in girl spaces sometimes. Like my school specifically pitted us against each other. Like they were basically battle royaling us with our grades. And that is a thing that as a female bodied person you go through a lot. You're taught that everyone around you is competition, and Faye brings that to the table a lot. And I like that because it sets her apart as they're all survivors, but she will stab you in the back without even thinking about it. And you can see that as a part of her character.
I remember before we sort of get to the end, talk about the ending Ganymede. I can't say the name. I'm going to give up. It's too warm for
Ganymede
that.
Elegy.
Yeah, there we go. I love the ending because Jet's decision is so multi-layered, and you could argue it many ways. In my opinion, I think he's like, oh, he gave Alyssa what she wanted. He did have the option to free both of them. He could have let them go, but she said, I want to make a bad decision. So, okay, the way to make you have that bad decision is to, in this case, do my job and let him be taken away. But even then, he still dulls it a bit by saying he'll be out soon. He'll get off on self-defense.
Yeah.
So even though he did allow her to make the decision, he's still not willing to go all the way with it. Because you very clearly get the impression that the reason he knows that is because he's either pulled in a favor or he's told the guy, this is what you say in court. Yeah, I've done this enough to know this is what you say, and this is what will get you off. This will give you your best chance. So he's still not all there with it. It's really nice.
But he throws the watch away,
Yes.
which I think that caps it off. It's like this is my one last act of quote unquote protecting you, even though you haven't asked me to. And now I'm severing that tie.
It's a rare example, I think, where it's kind of like it's an everyone wins situation in the most loosest sense of the words. Like I got my closure on this whole thing. You got your thing. I was able to do just enough that I can go away with a clean conscience. But you can't blame me for it.
Yeah.
You got your choice and I've dulled it. But that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it's not quite a Pyrrhic victory, but it's a yeah, it's a victory. It's a victory in the Cowboy Bebop world, which is,
I think it contrasts well with Spike's victory last episode. He got that sort of moral victory as well, where he was able to do good. People suffered for it. It wasn't a perfect way out. He lost the money in the end, but he did get to that moment, like pay his toll on it that's on his soul for a brief moment, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to
Balancing things.
balancing your cups.
all comes out in the wash in the end, or whatever These you want to use?
I do want to bring up a few things before we sort of head to the end. One, in our never-ending game of everything is connected, did you spot the name of the bounty they have at the very start of the episode?
No.
Was it
Baker.
It wasn't Julia?
No, Baker Panchiero, the guy who they have tied up, who Arne barks at. Yeah, do you recognize that name?
It sounds familiar.
You're going to kick yourself.
I am going to kick
He's
myself.
named after the last names of the two main characters from Malta's favorite show, Chips.
God damn it.
Yay!
Everything is connected.
Everything is Chips.
Chips.
Everything is Chips.
I looked at it, I couldn't pretty much I thought I was like, that's oddly. Oh,
We should just live stream us watching Chips together.
Yeah.
and get sued into
Available on
oblivion.
Prime Video. You can do it on Twitch.
Okay, oh, good.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's work that out. Also, to point out, the Edward episode is by far the most edited episode we've had so far. It's had a lot of changes. Mostly all of Ed's dialogue has been changed. Mostly
Really?
because he has that rhyming Candace. She has that rhyming Candace for a lot of it. So it's still the same general idea, but they flip some of the words around so it actually works. The only sort of big change is, do you know when the one person says they believe Ed to be a drag queen?
Yes.
In Japan, we believe Ed to be gay.
Oh.
Which, you get why they went with that one. To be fair, I would argue drag queen's slightly funnier in the context of it, but you contrast a basketball player and him being infinitely tall, having infinitely tall and infinitely short.
That's and 3 years old.
Yeah, that's the only. Yeah, the rest of them are like, okay, you wanted to keep their weird dialogue thing going, and you can't really do that with a direct translation.
Yeah. But
any final thoughts?
Oh, I was about to say final thoughts.
2 solid episodes. Tonally completely different. But yeah, you know, we get finally get Edward. Love to have Edward. They're a crucial part of the Bebop crew. Can't believe it took 9 episodes to get there. And yeah, always love the spotlight on Jet. More than just kind of being the person that keeps everybody on track and shoulders all the abuse. I mean, Jet
Team mom.
Yeah. Gets the time to shine, and I appreciate it. Next week we get into one of my favorite episodes of the entire series.
Alien exists.
How about you, John? What are your final thoughts?
These episodes are so funny together when you watch them together, because like in any other show, if you had 2 episodes this disparate, you would presume the show is terrible. I can't think of any other show that has had 2 episodes next to each other that are so vastly different in tone and yet managed to pull both of them off perfectly. Edward is a really funny episode with a really nice emotional heart. Elegy is also a really moving drumming. Actually, I've tripped onto my own point there. What makes these work is they both have at their core a very human heart. Edward's relationship with the satellite is all about the idea of being lonely and finding your place. Elegy is dealing with your past. So while these episodes do feel different, they retain a very human core.
I like that we finally have Ed. Ed was always one of my favorite characters for the Bebop crew. I really like the MPU Ed relationship. I think that there's something very interesting and fun about that sort of comparison between the two of them, with Ed's connection to technology and MPU slowly becoming more and more aware of itself. And then you have this great kind of almost like more cop drama episode with Jet. And I have a soft spot for cop dramas and westerns, so I really enjoy the energy, the noir energy of this. But Cowboy Bebop continues to be one of the greatest anime of all time. Like, what can you say? It continues to be amazing, and I'm so excited to continue to watch more with you guys. But that does mean that we have pulled into our final destination. That's right, it is time to disembark from Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again for talking about the shows that made us us and made you you. We have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.